Hey there, everybody, and welcome back to Glenn and Adrian's Rock Talk. Today's topic is The Who's third album, Sell Out, which is also, by the way, if you're a fan of the album, they've just put out a super deluxe edition, which can go up to 5 CDs or 2 LPs.
I've seen the 5 CD version that comes with 2 7-inch singles.
Oh, yeah, that's probably the one.
And I think that goes for like $140 on Amazon or something like that. It's a really insane price.
Yeah, they go one way or the other. You either find them a year later half off, or they're not for sale anymore, and you have to find them somewhere for like double or triple what you bought.
Oh, yeah.
There's no middle, it seems. So
I'm not quite ready yet to shell out $140 for a really deluxe version of Sellout by The Who.
Well,
But I did get the I think it's the 1995 deluxe CD set or something. Has a lot of extra tracks. It's almost like having a whole extra album. I was wrong about one thing. They didn't put the cover of Batman on Sellout. That's on a quick one. They did that to a quick one too. They released a deluxe version with nearly an album's worth of other songs on it.
I was looking for that one because, as we noted before we started, this is the copy that I have in my house of Sellout and a quick one. And actually, it's your album. I'm borrowing it from you, but I just ordered. That's why I just ordered the vinyl, and it just so happened the deluxe was out. I bought the 2 LP set.
That has the original albums on it without the bonus tracks.
I like having just the original album a lot of times when I'm listening to a record because that's actually how the artist intended it. I'm going to
that's how it's supposed to sound. Kind of like earlier in the 60s, they had a lot of records in mono. A lot of people look for the mono mixes of the early records because, again, that's how they were supposed to sound. That was the original intention.
Yeah, usually that's the mix that the artist is in on, too, is the mono mix. Maybe they won't be in for the stereo mix. But maybe that's obvious since you'd have the drums and instruments way over here and then the vocals way over here on a lot of these records.
Yeah. Revolver comes to mind by the Beatles. I know. It's a Taxman. It's like the vocals are over here and the drums are over here. And
it's like, couldn't you put the band in the same room? Or like on the same side of the room or something? It's funny. I think this mostly avoids that, but there is some more separation, I think, on this one. But this one is pretty well balanced.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So I mean, the whole thing with this album was it was their first concept record, and the whole idea was that they were a pirate radio station operating off the coast of London as pirate. I think it's Pirate London or something. Pirate Radio London.
Radio London.
Yeah, Radio London. I think that's what it was. And when they went about putting this record together, they actually did approach some companies to see if they wanted to have their ad done by The Who and put on this album. As a matter of fact, Coca-Cola was one of them. They actually approached Coca-Cola to see if they wanted to buy an ad on the album that would end up on the album. It turns out Pete Townsend was actually in advertising, so he was completely used to the idea of going out and trying to get ads placed or place ads or do advertising work for other people. The Who had actually done a number of jingles by that time because they were still a cult, unknown band, and they didn't have any money, and so they would make money any way they could, and they did a lot of jingles. A lot of those do end up on the deluxe edition, by the way. So they approached Coca-Cola, and they say, hey, we want to do this, and we've even written a couple things already for you to look at. And all. They said, well, how many units are we talking about here? What's our reach going to be? And they're like, we'll probably sell 100,000. And they said, click, he hung up the phone. Coke hangs up the phone. 100,000. That's that's nothing. So but can you imagine today if they'd had an actual ad on this record? They could lay claim to the fact they had a Coke ad on a Who record, and that would have been pretty extraordinary. But oops.
Yeah, it's on the deluxe CD that I have. Coke after Coke after Coke after Coca-Cola.
Yeah, and I mean, what a blunder on their part. I'm sure that somebody's just thinking, oh gosh, we really blew it, because by now, I mean, it would have been a huge selling point, I would bet. But anyway.
Yeah. Another thing too, I think Chris Stamp tried to ask the Odorono company if they would sponsor the album. They were pretty pissed off about it.
Well, maybe it has to do with how they.
Yeah,
That's Odorono right there. It's underarm deodorant, as you might guess.
yeah.
It's a little bigger than to life.
There's a song about it on the album, of course.
The song is actually very good. You almost wouldn't even know that it's supposed to be an ad, but it's actually quite a very nice song.
Well, the last line kind of gives it away.
That's the thing, is it's like the punchline. Oh, wait a minute. You mean this was an ad? Yep. Yep. And a darn good one, too. We can go track by track if you like. I have my favorites on this record, but we could just start at the beginning.
Oh, I know it starts with Armenia, City in the Sky. I know it looks like Armenia, City in the Sky, but it's Armenia.
Yeah. Very interesting way to use the syllables in that situation.
Yeah.
That word.
Yeah, it's the only cover song that was specifically written for The Who.
Mm-hmm.
It was written by a guy named John Speedy Keane.
Right. And he was
called Thunderclap Newman.
Yeah, Thunderclap Newman was one of Pete Townshend's pet projects. Like
I didn't know
first
that.
album, I believe. They may have only had one album. Jimmy McCullough from Wings was in that group, and John Speedy Keane was their lead vocalist.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they had a close association.
I think he sang on the Who record too. I think John Keane sang on the Who record.
Yeah, well, I mean, it sounds like they're all tight,
Yeah.
So. Yeah, that's an understandable thing. Yeah, that's a good track. It's a very psychedelic song. In fact, I think they might have just kind of felt it through in a way. I mean, it doesn't really feel like they had a very set way that they were going to do it. They may have had a pretty good idea, but I think I hear extra beats here and there that maybe weren't intended, and you can hear mistakes in John Entwistle's bass lines on occasion. Like he'll be a little bit late going to the next chord,
Oh yeah.
So it's so loose. It's almost like, well, they must have, meant to do it that way. In fact, maybe they stitched together parts of the song and they just that's how I don't know. But it's pretty unusual.
There's a lot of tape loops and backwards stuff in there too.
Yeah.
Nice and psychedelic and everything.
Absolutely. Yeah, lots of backwards. Pretty good song.
Yeah.
So that led us into, oh, by the way, we should mention, just by how virtue of the fact that they're so brilliant, is there are segues all throughout this record. And even before Armenia, there's one that you might have possibly heard somewhere.
On the radio, yes.
Yeah, on the radio. The first thing they did was actually probably out of a real radio jingle vault. So it was probably real. It was the 7 days of the week. Just very radio-like, like bring Sunday, bring Monday. It's pretty funny. It's and another one is like, oh, Radio London, boom boom, whoopee, stuff like that in between, and it's all brilliant. It's all brilliant, and it's actually sounds, especially on through side one, it sounds like you're just listening to the radio and the DJ's not talking.
Yeah. They actually got into a little bit of legal trouble for using, I guess, real commercials, or maybe they were too much like the real commercials or something.
They were using real products. Matter of fact, the very next song highlights that. That's another good one.
Beans.
Heinz baked beans.
What's for tea, Mom?
Honey, what's for tea? It's a clever ad. I mean,
yeah, it is.
I think I might have heard it once and actually thought it was supposed to be a real Heinz baked beans ad. Next one is Marianne with the Shaky Hands. I've learned a little more about The Who as I've dug in. They do a lot of funny songs like that. It sounded like a pretty girl with a shaky hand was very popular. Like all the other girls, they were bad seamstresses or, but she had a shaky hand. And so she was popular.
Yeah. I remember I once had a friend, he had a girlfriend named Marianne or something, or he was talking about her. And I said, Marianne with the shaky hands, and he was not amused.
Yeah, I can see why. That's hilarious, though. I guess perhaps they knew the reference anyway. But it's a nice track, I mean, you could have heard it on the radio.
Yeah.
And then there's some other segue. I don't remember all the segues. It's worth just listening to the album if you haven't, just to hear all the segues and things that they do in between. But the next one
One
is, in
is
fact,
Tattoo, I think.
no, it's Odorono.
Odorono. Oh, yes. We were talking about that.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
that's right. It's a great. You don't even know it's a jingle until the very last like line or half line.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
she shoulda won't use Odorona.
Yeah.
Like they
Yo,
almost
held
kissed.
her down.
They almost kissed, got real close, and then went back and went away. And she went home crying, and it's all because she didn't use Odorona. You know, shame on you. You know, you use the wrong deodorant, you have no idea what's going to happen out there. It's a rough world, I tell you. So that was the, but it's such a nice, innocent sounding song, and you know, really nice musicality and everything. That's another thing I've really come to appreciate the Who's overall musicality. Like they're just all wild people that I think the way that Pete Townsend put
I'll
it,
learn how to play instruments. It's
yeah, yeah. But I mean, I mean,
almost like the punk formula, you know, you just
yeah,
sort of pick up instruments, get some friends, and learn a few chords, and you're ready to play.
that's right, that's right. And it turns out Keith, he used to refer to Keith as the guy that would knit the band together. You know, like like this with his drums. You know, like he was the glue in the band, even though he was just wild and often off time and you know a very interesting listening experience. But he would just take all the elements of the group and pull it together so that it made sense
Hmm.
and it worked. And I noted too that Keith Moon didn't use a hi hat. He never had one. It looked like to me.
Oh,
He only had crash cymbals, ride cymbals, usually at least four, and that's just what he been just doing this, and then while he's playing, you know.
yeah, I don't think I've ever heard a hi hat. Come to think of it,
Yeah,
a Who song.
I thought about it. It's actually part of the signature Who sound that there's no hi hat and that there's always like rides and things.
Yeah, I've been thinking there must have been some time where he might have played just the hi hat or something,
If you can think of it, I mean,
galloping
I've
with
been
it or something like that. But I guess that never happened because I can't think of a time when that. I imagine it happening, but can't think of a time when it actually happens. So.
but it only just occurred to me after watching because I started watching a lot of shows. Come to think of it, we're coming into the song Tattoo. Tattoo ended up being in their show for like the next 5, 10 years, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
I mean, Tattoo got played all over the place and stayed in the set list, and it is a really strong song. It's worth noting that now everybody gets tattoos, even women. You know, and it's not considered a manly thing anymore, like the thing that makes you a man.
Yeah, a
The
lot
whole
of
thing
women
with the
get
song,
tattoos and
well, the whole thing with the song is they're long haired guys, and his dad's like, "You're that's not for
they
men."
don't like their appearance. He said that only women wear long hair.
Right, right. There you go. There you go. So he's like, "Well, I'll get a tattoo, and then that'll prove it." And then his brother, his mom beats him because he's got a naked lady tattoo.
Yeah,
So it's just,
his dad beats him because his mother mother naturally liked it and beat my brother.
that's good. There's just no happy ending there.
Yeah.
Anyway, but it's a great song. The next one after that is Our Love Was.
Hmm.
This is a track that I don't think was on the American version or
I don't know. I've
something
heard
about this
the
song.
song. The song is okay. It doesn't really do it for me for some reason.
Oh,
It
the
just
song.
I
I
don't
like
hate it.
some of the changes. You know, a lot of the chord changes that Townsend was choosing during this era are a little bit angular. They kind of go off in a direction you don't expect, in a slightly darker tone maybe than you would
Yeah,
expect. Almost an introspective power chord, you know, things like. I mean, that almost describes Tommy, you know. But that's what struck me with this song. You know, it's kind of got that. I mean, it's another pop song. It's a good one. I think that it was written
song.
purposely to be. No, you go ahead.
No, I just say it's a good enough song for me anyway. It's,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think they needed to have some kind of like love song theme for
Yeah.
the record for the radio station.
And then I think the next one is I Can See for Miles, which was the gemstone in that, I think.
Yeah, that's a great song.
Yeah.
It's it stands to mention too. I think all of these were done on 4 track, but this is that's a great song.
Yeah.
They really achieved whatever they were going for on it.
Yeah.
Loads of layered vocals, the very spacey feel. Even though you've got Keith Moon driving the ship through the clouds or whatever he's doing, feels like he's like
Through the
he's like powering the Chitty Bang Bang bed through space. Anyway, that's a good one. So then that's the end of the side.
mhm.
And I don't think they had anything heading out, but then so we flip the record and we get to I Can't Reach You.
Oh yeah, that's before Medak, isn't it?
Yes.
It sounds like a decent enough song. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
It's kind of okay,
nice tune.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Doesn't really stand out very much to me, but
Yeah, the song itself, it's one of the I think side 2 is a little weaker than side 1.
maybe.
If I'm going to be honest. There's some good things on side 2.
Yeah, there's some good things, but yeah, side one is really kind of strong with the the songs and commercials and everything. And
Yeah.
I sort of sit through that to get to the bonus tunes.
Well, yeah.
I mean, there are some songs I like on side two. I'm trying to think. Sunrise comes to mind for some reason.
That's a good one.
This is just after they appeared at the Monterey Pop Festival.
Yeah, all recorded. That's right, because it was actually released in 1967, December 15. So yeah, made in November. Well, yeah, I had completely forgotten about that Charles Atlas ad before I Can't Reach You, and the Charles Atlas ad I think is even better.
Oh, yeah.
It's than the song.
Better than I Can't Reach You. Yeah, I agree with that one. Oh, Medak.
Yeah. So Medak, so that's actually a product too, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah, I think that was a product in the '60s. I don't know if they still have it.
Yeah.
I've never seen a stick of Odorono before.
Well, I know they approached Medak too, complete with Keith Moon, and I think they weren't interested. But nonetheless, it wound up on the record. Well, so
Medak and then Relax is the next one after that. I remember that.
That's right.
Relax.
That's a pretty good track.
Yeah. I mean, there are a lot of songs on here that I think are just good songs. They're not all of them.
Oh yeah,
special. They're good songs. This is a good one.
Yeah, that's a good song. I like Relax a lot.
Nice message too. Relax and settle down.
Yeah, that's one I need. I should just put that sign up all over the house. And that leads into Silas Stingy, which has a very choir-like factor to it. It's almost church-like, where they go into the here comes Mr. Stingy.
They have the organ in the background and
money, 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 money. All that. Yeah.
I like that song.
It's pretty. That's an interesting one. That's an unusual song.
Bought a safe to put the box in and a house to put the safe in and a watchdog on a chain to be quite sure. I like that.
See.
His face was very funny when he counted up his money and he realized he hadn't any more.
Yeah, boy. I hate when that happens.
That's classic, I think.
So then that is a good one.
Yeah.
That leads us to Sunrise, which you were talking about.
Mm-hmm. It's just a very mellow song. It's
You take away the breath I was keeping for sunrise.
Well, so that brings us to Rail 1 and 2. Now, I don't know about you, but the thing that I noticed immediately about Rail was that it's a precursor to Tommy.
It's a girl, Mrs. Walker. It's a girl.
Yeah. It's almost like they purloined it. I don't know if they already had Tommy in place and this was supposed to be a precursor to Tommy, or if it was supposed to be a standalone piece that they then said, you know what, we should really expand this out, or what happened. There are a few Tommy ideas in there like from Sparks and a few other tracks. I mean, you know how Tommy is. There are a number of themes that you hear over and over in various songs,
Mhm.
and I hear several themes in Rail that wound up in Tommy.
Yeah.
So maybe it was the seed that brought about the tree, or what have you. But
It's possible. I think Tommy was supposed to be about a religious figure named Meher Baba or something like that. He was like a guru or swami or something.
yeah, that Pete Townsend admired, right?
Yeah, yeah, and he was really into that in 1967 anyway, and was doing all sorts of experimental stuff. Yeah. It's also there's also another song about him called Baba O'Reilly.
Oh,
Who's next?
that's oh, okay. I never made the connection. That's very
Yeah,
interesting.
that's Meher Baba. They have a whole slew of bonus tunes on the one that I have. I think it's the 1995 reissue or something. One of
Real,
the songs it starts with is Jaguar. I
yeah,
think it was the first song they recorded for this whole
yeah,
project. Yeah,
and yeah, I think
Jaguar.
they were intending to go approach Jaguar, you know,
Yeah.
to see if they wanted to buy or sponsor the record a little bit.
Yeah.
Everybody said no, you know,
Yeah.
which is just,
They
today
did
it's
some commercial stuff anyway, and they got in trouble for it apparently. But
yeah, which is
doing the commercials without permission and
it's a little
commercial
crazy though.
parodies.
Hmm. I suppose I don't know. I don't. Maybe it was viewed as Weird Al Yankovic or something. I've got a new appreciation for the record, and I really think it's something. It tends to be rated very highly by critics. It's a great record. I think that's the bottom line.
Yeah.
It's some say it's the Who's very best album, and or the best realized. I don't know about
Well,
that.
I don't know about whether it's the best album, but it's a good one.
Yeah,
It's
that's
it's,
about what I would
it's
say.
one of the better albums.
But this one I would probably give about four and yeah, 4 stars, about four, maybe
Yeah,
4.5. It's kind of
I'd
there's
give
a
it
few.
4 stars. I
Yeah,
said,
okay, yeah, it's like kind of maybe 4.25. Like it's got some brilliance. It's a record people should hear. Well, we'd like to thank you for joining us for this discussion of the Who Sell Out. We recommend it highly, and if you'd like to hear more of our ramblings in the future, you can click that little subscribe button down below, the red button, which hopefully is gray now because you're subscribed. And maybe click the bell too so that you know when we're actually putting stuff up. Oh, yes, and like the video if you liked it as well, please. And we'll catch you next time. All right, take care.
"All right, see you later.